Welcome back, folks, to Uncle Three's Ghost Story Channel, Night 41. Today's tale is one many of you will love, because it's about a real place in Hong Kong. And since this spot's been abandoned for years, I ain't shy about spilling the beans on its name, the Golden Valley Theatre. You see, this place sits right smack dab in the middle of Hong Kong's towering apartment buildings. But for years, it's just sat there, empty. No one really knows why, except for those who saw the spine-chilling stuff that went down inside its walls. The Golden Valley Theatre first opened its doors back in the 1960s. But then, around the 1980s, boom! The theatre suddenly closed down because a fire broke out. After some repairs, the theatre reopened, but that's when the strange stories started happening, and they spooked folks so bad that nobody dared to see a movie anymore. In the end, the Golden Valley Theatre closed its doors for good in 1990. Now, our story for tonight comes from a man named Tony, who's 60 years old today. Tony told me that back in the 1980s, life was pretty rough for him. He worked driving all sorts of artists from different parts of the entertainment world to their gigs. And believe it or not, the Golden Valley stage was the very first place that hired Tony. He told me that during those tough times, he did all kinds of odd jobs at the theater, like pulling curtains for the stage, cleaning up, and a bunch of other unexpected tasks related to the performing arts. Tony even picked up his filmmaking skills there, not from any school, but thanks to his connection with that very stage. The Golden Valley stage was one of the first ones to be equipped with really modern gear. An older musician rented it out and put on all kinds of shows for the people of Hong Kong in the 1980s. There was a main lobby for guests who bought tickets and went straight into the theater. But there was also a side entrance or a back entrance, which was meant for the artists, organizers, or the crew. They used that path to avoid the eyes of the audience. Back then, Tony was in charge of pulling the curtains and handling the sound and lighting for the stage. Every night at 7 p.m., when the host announced, "Please find your seats, folks. The Golden Valley Music and Comedy Show is about to begin." Tony would hit the button to open the stage curtains. The very first night, they did a trial run, and they even sold cheap tickets. Near the entrance, there was a cashier's desk. It was like the table where artists got paid. So, anyone who finished their performance would come out, sign their name, collect their money, count it right there, and then head home. On that very first night, the show was running smoothly, and everything was going great. But near the end of the program, some of the artists who had performed earlier suddenly came back. They were furious and asked the cashier, "Why on earth did you put hell money in our envelopes?" They meant that if they were supposed to get $100 for their performance, they only got $80 in real money, and the other $20 was hell money. The cashier was absolutely stunned. Money matters are sensitive enough, but on opening night, no one would pull a trick like that, especially since everyone working at the theater, even the cashier, was an artist themselves. They weren't about to play such a mean prank. So, the owner of the stage had to step in to talk things over. He sorted it out, checked everything, added more real money, and took back the hell money. Naturally, rumors started flying around the theater. Tony himself witnessed the whole thing, and he just couldn't figure out why it happened. That night, as Tony was driving the host home, they talked a lot. Tony, being new to the world and having never seen anything like it, asked the host, "Why did that happen, man?" The host replied, "Something's definitely going on in this theater. I've performed a lot, and this ain't unheard of." He suggested either the cashier hated the owner and was messing with him, or there's some mysterious spiritual stuff going on in this place. They were doing a 7-day run to draw in customers, so the next night was the second show. The female cashier was replaced, and what was even more surprising was that the owner himself sat at the desk to hand out the pay to the artists. Everyone saw it clearly. Even the artists who came earlier saw the owner pull out a big stack of money and put real cash into every envelope. He didn't have the funds pre-stuffed. He counted it out in front of them as they signed. But guess what? It happened again. The artists who had performed earlier and already received their money came back, yelling and cursing loudly, backstage. Tony said the sound was so loud, it practically echoed out to the audience. The owner tried to calm everyone down, insisting, "I prepared real money just now, and I never left this desk, so there's no way hell money could be in there." Then the owner pulled a stack of artists' payroll money from a drawer. And right there, in front of Tony and everyone else, half the money in that stack was hell money. Tony simply couldn't understand why this was happening. When things calmed down and the artists got their full correct pay, the owner spoke quietly to one of them. He asked, "Didn't I just give you that envelope and you signed for it?" The artist replied, "No, you didn't give me this envelope earlier. I didn't even see you then. I came to this desk and saw a woman with long hair, wearing a red Cheongsam and a black dress, sitting here. She handed me the paper to sign. I signed it properly, thinking she was the new cashier, not the old one. So I just walked away and didn't even count the money, because I trusted her." After this, everyone was puzzled. Who was this long-haired woman in a red Cheongsam and a black dress? There were no plays or acts in that theater with a character like that, and no dance troupe member was wearing such an outfit. Once again, the theater was abuzz with whispers, and the owner had to dip into his own pocket again to compensate them. The very next day, the owner of the theater and a few other folks went for coffee to discuss why such a bizarre thing was happening. Who was doing this? It was affecting their money so much that the theater could go bankrupt. Who could afford to pay salaries for 7 straight days if half the money had to be made up every single day? And it wasn't like someone was stealing it. How could they call the police with no evidence? The envelopes were the owner's own, and he was the one holding them. So how could the money be switched? In their group, someone asked, "Could there be ghosts here, man?" The owner fell silent, saying nothing. He just said, "All right, I'll go check it out tomorrow." You see, the owner was a Catholic and didn't believe in such things. So when he took over the theater, he hadn't performed any offerings or rituals related to the stage. On the 3rd night, Tony was there early. Since he worked the lights and curtains, he often arrived ahead of time. He went to the coffee shop in front of the theater. The lady who ran the coffee shop had lived and worked there for a long time, so she knew a lot of stories. When Tony told her about the strange things happening to the owner over the past 2 days, she said, "Oh my goodness, honey. This theater, a long time ago. I only heard rumors, mind you. But word has it that 2 artists who loved each other here didn't work out. the girl committed suicide by drinking poison, and she died right here." She went on. After that, people who worked in this theater often saw her ghost, a long-haired girl wearing a red Cheongsam and a black dress, appearing right in the hallway. She said she'd stand in a corner and everyone saw her. Even I, who has been selling coffee here for so many years, have heard countless people talk about it. And the night guards? They wouldn't even dare to patrol that part of the hallway. After Tony heard what the coffee lady said, he understood. He knew that this stage had a history of ghost stories, just like she told him. So Tony went back and said to the other theater staff, he suggested they make an offering to ensure smooth operations, not to subdue the spirit of the red-dressed girl, but just to make peace. That very day, the theater owner bought a pig, bread, and fruit for the offering. But when it came time for the offering, the theater owner refused to light the incense. He said he was Catholic and didn't light incense. He asked one of his employees to light it for him, and then he muttered under his breath, "I don't believe in all that stuff." That very night, folks, would you believe it? The altar where the incense was lit actually crashed down. But things didn't stop there. From that night on, not a single show at the theater went smoothly. Some nights, artists would be late or cancel. Other nights, there would be problems with the lighting or sound. Tony, being in charge of the lighting, knew about all the strange things that happened during that time. And so it went. The audience numbers kept dropping until people started talking about giving up the place. How could they afford it now? They didn't even have enough money to pay the staff, let alone the artists performing every night. Until one night, the owner called everyone to the same coffee shop as before for a meeting and to hand out their final paychecks. The owner himself stayed behind to be the last one to lock up the theater. After all, this place held so many of his dreams. When you think about it, even beyond his stubbornness about offerings and beliefs, the older man was truly a pitiable soul. But it was that same owner who witnessed the final spiritual phenomena and told everyone about it. As he closed all the doors and turned to leave for the coffee shop, he saw her. The red-dressed woman stood right in front of him. Her face was bloody, and she looked at him, smiling. And then she spoke, saying, "You think you're so smart. Go ahead and perform again. You think your little offerings would make me let it go?" When the theater owner saw that horrifying sight, he was absolutely terrified. He immediately turned and ran headlong to the coffee shop, where he told everyone what he'd seen. The very next day, he closed the theater down for good. The stage had been open for less than a month. This story shows you folks that there are many places out there with mysterious spiritual elements. And sometimes you don't know the full ghost story behind them. And that's the end of the ghost story on Night 41. See you all on Night 42.